Service
Service of self.
All right, please stand. Put your hand over your heart. And join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
Republic, which is one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
That was great. Thank you. And now we will have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. I'm all calmed down here. And we will do our announcements. We've got a great speaker today from Wallops Island to tell us about space launches and all that. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. So all your questions about spaceships and going to the moon and Mars will be answered today.
About UFOs.
So the first announcement I have is from Bill Murphy. There's a project at Kiptopeke Elementary where a student needs a typewriter. Remember typewriters? You have a typewriter. Go down in your basement. I guess we don't have basements around here, but go up in your attic, go out in the garage, and donate your typewriter to Kiptopeke. And I bet nobody has a typewriter.
Not anymore.
I had an electric IBM typewriter. The thing weighed.
Blue Crow probably had one.
Who had one? Is that a joke, Bill?
That's the antique place up there by.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I have one in my garage.
Do you? Does it work?
Electric, IBM Electric.
Yeah. Does it work? You got a ribbon for it?
I don't have a ribbon for it.
If you could get a ribbon, would you donate it to Kiptopeke?
I think I could get my wife to agree.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to have Murphy follow.
No, I'm only kidding. She's been asking me to get rid of it for years, but I keep those types of things still.
Good for you, Reggie. Hang in there. Push
Hey,
back.
Bill, what's the backstory? Why a typewriter and why not a PC with Word on it?
Something to do with a teacher writing and Murphy sent one of his long nonstop paragraphs on this thing. And after a while, you just stop reading it. You have to come up for air. So talk to Murphy.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just curious, why not, work Microsoft Word where you make a mistake, you can correct it and you can do spell check and all the other things. And I know kids have been online all this year, so they got to have a PC or a laptop.
I don't have the answer, Chuck.
Okay. I'll mention it to Bill.
Okay. Yeah. In fact, get up with Bill on that. And Bill, I'm going to have Bill Murphy contact you, Reggie, on about the real typewriter. Stanley, share a few words about why membership is so important.
Membership is so important because we need members. I'd like to encourage everybody who's on with us to probably try and get at least one person that you may speak with and encourage them to join Rotary. It's a great organization. It's one of the best that I've been on since I've been on the shore. Between Rotary and Habitat, I think I stay pretty busy. and in my garden too. But Rotary has it's been very fulfilling to me. You know, it's a lot better than it's a lot different than what I envisioned Rotary to be years prior before joining. I thought it was an organization just for business people, and after going to a few Rotary conferences and things with Bill and Bill, I found it, it's very encouraging. I very accepting and very open. So I encourage everyone to try and get some new members because it's a big family. It's fun. It's a good time. I really enjoy even these Zoom meetings. Even the face-to-face meetings are much better, but the Zoom meetings are nice. But I even enjoy that. But I'd like to encourage everyone to try and get some members in. It's a good organization.
Stan, you made a good point. And, you know, whenever I listen to somebody talk, I try to find one thing I can take away because I can't remember everything Stanley said. And Stanley said something that was very significant. He says, Rotary is not what he thought it would be. And I think that's important. A lot of people have a misconception of who we are, what we do. So you say, you know, that's a nice way to talk to people about it, you know, a good way. You know, we're not what you think. Why don't you come visit one of our meetings and find out that we are really different from what notion you had of us. So Stan, I'm going to remember that, and I thank you for sharing it.
Oh, anytime. Just ask me.
Yeah, I know I can always ask you. Bill Stram, we've got a certain Tuesday coming up, don't we?
We do at that. So we have the District 7600 Giving Tuesday on April the 6th, 2021. So the rules are contributions must be made to the annual fund. Contributions up to an individual contribution of $500 will be matched with Paul Harris Foundation recognition points 1 for 1. So if you gave $500, they would match that with 500 points and you would be automatically eligible for a Paul Harris Fellow if you hadn't contributed a penny. Contributions must be made on the My Rotary website on April the 6th, that specific day. Your My Rotary account must be set up in advance at least the week before if you do not already have an account. And then I won't even mention the last one because nobody's part of that. That's it, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So we'll just keep reminding you about Giving Tuesday as we approach Giving Tuesday, which will be here before you know it. It works like this. Spring comes and then Giving Tuesday. Two very important dates to look forward to. And this is one that Mark always takes advantage of. He doubles his points. Mark, I don't think you give all year other than your $25 a quarter, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, I save it all up for Giving Tuesday, so.
So Mark's the example. In fact, if you're on the program next, I'm not here. Next week, I won't be here. We'll talk about that later. But Mark, help Bill out with his pitches because you're a living example of the leverage of Giving Tuesday. I owe an apology to Randy Diamond. Yeah, well, just one today. Maybe you'll get one some other time. But But Randy helped paint the Randy Custis building, and I didn't know it, and he didn't channels to sign up. Maybe that's why I didn't know. But
He got credit. He got credit in the newsletter.
yeah, I guess it was there. But the real deal is when you get acknowledgement on Zoom. So Randy, thank you for representing Cape
You're
Charles
welcome.
along with Jim and Bob. And now we're going to try to do something else now that we're talking about you.
About me.
And let's see how that works. You all see that?
It's dry. There it is.
Ah,
Is that Randy there?
It's hard to tell.
Some gangster.
Randy and his golf cart. Randy, what are you going to do with that golf cart?
We're going to raffle it off and make a lot of money.
That looked like it's in somebody's drive.
Bill Payne's driveway.
You know, you'd only know it would be in Bill Payne's driveway with an outhouse in front of it.
There was a lot of dust being made when I was down there, believe me. I don't know what they're doing, but he had the front of his house was getting a facelift.
Yeah, there
Rumor
goes.
has it that Al across the road is going to probably go over there and start decorating that thing. 'Cause
At Christmas, he put a Christmas wreath on the outhouse. It was very attractive.
Nice. That's nice.
That was, hey, Al, that was Lori's idea.
Yeah.
Lori is Al's wife, for those of you who have not met her. And Stram, I want you to know that's the most expensive outhouse you've ever seen.
Well, that's because, you know, you have those guys that are meticulous, you know, and they're going to probably take a year and a half to fix your roof, you know.
It looks like it. So, Randy, tell us all about the raffle.
Well, things are underway. There's gonna be more announcements as things happen, but we're about to order the tickets. We're going to get those tickets distributed to all the members the middle of April, and hopefully have them all sold by the end of May. The drawing will be on the 4th of July at Cape Charles, the 4th of July celebration. And just start talking to everyone you know about their need for a golf cart. People with long driveways are an excellent audience for a golf cart. If they don't have a long driveway, encourage them to build a long driveway. We're going to on the ticket even, which are $10, 3 for $25 when it happens. And we will offer to deliver the golf cart free of charge for up to 100 miles from Cape Charles. So you can at least diffuse, you know, the people that look at it the first time and say, it's too far away, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll have that covered. And we probably could make an exception, but we're going to set it at 100 because that just seems a reasonable way to help us promote the cart. So we're in good shape. Hopefully we will be able to have a number of events going on around the area, campgrounds, maybe in front of a food store, maybe in Main Street of Cape Charles periodically, where we set up a stand, we advertise the Rotary Club, and we try to sell some tickets. So hopefully we
So
can.
how many tickets are we selling?
Well,
How many tickets?
we are going to order 1,500 tickets. So we were going to give 20 tickets per member, with the hopes that each person will hold up at least, you know, that much of the sales, and then additional tickets that we sell at these other venues and other events. So if we sell between 1,000 and 1,500 tickets, we will be in pretty good shape so far as our charitable budget is concerned. I've prepared, I haven't circulated yet, but I went through and kind of did a summary of where our charitable giving was placed in the last fiscal year. And it's a good story to tell folks what they're doing. I mean, they're making a donation. And in that last fiscal year, the club was able to give away $19,000 to charitable causes. So the people that need their money, need help, are getting it. So it's a good story, and it's such a good story that the fact that you're taking the chance of winning a golf cart is almost secondary. It's a good place to spend $10 or spend $25 because it's being put to good use. So
Dave has a question for you, Randy.
yes, sir.
Does it come with the charger?
Yes, it does. It is an electric cart, which is a good point to be made, and it comes with a charger. So it's good to go. It is in absolutely pristine condition. The tires are not new tires, but they're not flat tires. So everything else looks really, really good.
Hey, Bill Payne,
What
recommendation.
model is it?
It's a
club.
Club car precedent. Club car precedent.
How old is it? An old one? I mean, is it
2009?
Okay.
So it's got some use on it, but I'm telling you, it is in good shape. And the batteries are were replaced, I think, in 2019. So the battery set is relatively new. And I don't think the thing has probably been used very much because it's been for sale at the outfit out in Charlottesville that made it available to us. So we're in good shape.
Hey, Bill Payne, recommendation on the batteries, keep them charged. You don't want, even though it's sitting, not being used, the batteries will start to discharge. So keep it charged up.
Oh yeah, I've had that lesson. I've been a golf cart caretaker for years.
The best way to keep the battery charged on a unit like that is they get a trickle charger for about $25. You get it from Amazon. You just plug it in. You can leave it, plug it in forever. Always fully charged, but it won't overcharge.
We'll recommend that to the winner. We're not spending any money. We're just going to collect money. Well, hey, Randy, let me thank you again and your team. Randy has a team made up of about half the membership, and he's got this thing all organized and it's running like a clock. By the way, David, I drove the golf cart from the golf club to my house, and it runs like a Cadillac. You would love it. I've driven some pretty crappy golf carts, but this one is top shelf. Let me put myself on mute while the phone rings. Wrap it up, Randy.
Well, that's about it, unless there are any other questions. There are some of you who are on a team that may not quite know you're on a team yet, but I will let you know when the time comes. When it comes to distributing the tickets, and then we're going to, if we get permission to go to places like the campgrounds, drive the cart through and do a little song and dance of some sort to attract people and sell tickets. We're gonna need maybe 4 to 6 people to go along on each one of those trips. Sorry about that. I'm going to mute myself. I have to take this call.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Randy. I see Amy Barra's with us now. She's our guest speaker today. Amy, can you hear us?
I will be here this afternoon.
And you can see us.
But yes, I will be here this
afternoon. We're going to do a little tradition here, Amy.
For you.
And then we'll introduce you to the membership. And
okay.
Looking forward to hearing from you. So,
Hour and a half would be
Diane,
very good. Yeah, about 1:30.
I'm going
2
to
o'clock
mute
would be good.
him. And
All right, okay,
Diane,
thanks. Bye-bye.
Yes,
what time is it, Diane? Is it
I think
something
it's
special?
time for a little fun with Happy Dollar.
Happy dollars,
$100.
happy dollars. Now,
love
Amy's probably saying, what's this happy dollar thing all about? Well, let me tell you. And I'm going to start it off with happy dollars because I'm happy about something that really isn't something that is happy, but I'm happy I know about it. It turns out I don't listen to 60 Minutes on Sunday night much anymore. And I turned it on, and there was a feature on 60 Minutes about how fortunate we are, because it told the story about people who have been impacted by the coronavirus, who have lost their homes. They're living on the street. They call it, learned a new term, living on the ground. So I'm going to get one happy dollar because I learned about that. And I'm going to save my other dollars to find a way to help people like that. So I'm sorry to start it off on kind of a sour note, my friends, but I want you to know you should be happy because you are very fortunate. So where are we going to get that second, third, and fourth happy dollar? Oh, Chuck.
I'll give $5 happy. Last Wednesday, I got my second COVID shot. Really knocked me for a loop the next couple of days, but I'm all better. And I went online, I booked my trip to Chicago, and I will get to see my great-granddaughter over the Easter holiday weekend. So I'm finally going to meet her. I picked up some baby dolls and hand puppets and things like that to take with me. So I'm all ready to entertain her. So I'm giving $5 happy.
The kid's only a couple of months old.
She'll be 3 months old when I get there that weekend.
Alan,
Great.
jump in.
I have
Alan?
I have $5 and I have two happy dollars for that five. One is our 12th great grandchild was born this week. Our name out in Michigan, Elsa Rosalie. She was named after my great grandmother, Rose. So it's her great, 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 great grandmother for whom she's named. How's about that, Chuck?
That is pretty cool.
The second happy dollar would be that we might now have a good criterion to use for the first physical gathering for the Rotary Club with the latest issue of an edict from the CDC saying that if you are fully vaccinated, you may come together as a group. And with relatively few restrictions, and so that we might want to use that as a criterion for the first time that we can get together when we get, say, at least a dozen of us who are fully vaccinated. So I just want to throw that one in.
Thanks, Alan. Who else?
I have $5 happy. I'd like to announce, and I'm happy to announce that the book Invisible History has been scheduled together with To Kill a Mockingbird for the townwide read on March 25th, which is a Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So if you have time to tune in for the townwide read discussion of the two books, that would be wonderful.
Well, thank you, Mehdi. We ought to get that in the newsletter, Chuck. So Mehdi, if you would send that information, and let's
Thursday, March 25.
Yeah, so
please
next week
send
and
me
the
the
following week, you remind us.
And I will send a Zoom. There is no Zoom link available yet.
Okay, we'll stand by. Anybody else?
I would like to put $10 in, $5 for myself because I got my Johnson & Johnson vaccine this Saturday, the rural health program vaccinated 1,000 people at Nandua High School, and they took everyone 60 and older. The other five, which I thought was newsworthy and a sign of progress in vaccinations, the other $5 is going to my wife because she also got her vaccine, and she was so relieved, excited, that she cried when they gave it to her. We mentioned this to our upstairs neighbor. She cried when she got her vaccine, and when she went into the waiting room, there were 4 people waiting area. It was a large waiting area. There were 4 people who were dabbing at their eyes because they had cried. It's such a relief. So there's my
effect?
$10.
Oh, wow.
No,
Thank you, Jim.
so.
Was that a side effect?
Chuck, you're really good. You and Jack Benny are really, I got no topping you. Are there any other, Bill Stram waved his hand. No, he didn't. Randy did.
I wave my hand. I have 5 happy dollars, and I'm happy because I found out I have anosognosia. And you all know what anosognosia is. It's temporary forgetfulness. But why that makes me happy is, according to the studies, if you know you have a memory problem, you do not have a memory illness. It's just a matter of being old. So
I forgot about
I'm
that.
old and I know I have a memory problem.
I forgot about that.
Anosognosia, look it up.
Paul, go ahead.
I have $5 because I'm happy we got an article written by Jim Rich in the latest edition of the Eastern Shore News with pictures that gave good promotion to Rotary, and had pictures of 2 of our members who participated in the Randy Custis painting this last weekend.
Wow, I missed that edition. We can get that online though, right, Jim?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. To see it online, go to easternshorepost.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a front page. If you click on that, you can download the PDF. I suggest you do this when you're on Wi-Fi. You can download the PDF of the whole paper, and then I forget what page it was on, but just flip through the pages and you'll find it. And Paul, thank you
At
very
least the
much.
middle or further, yeah.
Paul, what was your happy dollars? What were your happy dollars?
5.
Thank you.
Any other happy dollars? Okay, hey Jim, don't be so bashful. Toot your horn. You're promoting Rotary, so promote yourself, my friend. That is great. What an asset we have in Jim Rich. So
Yeah.
if you see Jim, thank him, give him a hug. He's got his shot now. He's okay. All right, well then we'll wrap up Happy Dollars and we'll introduce Amy Barra. Chuck, I think you know a little bit more about Amy than I, so why don't you give her an introduction? And then Amy, you can add to it.
Yes, I contacted Amy because I'm a space enthusiast. People ask me what I took up in school, and I say air and space. I've always been very interested, and obviously Wallops Island is something I really enjoy. I actually went up and watched the space launch back on February 20th. I contacted Amy and she said she'd be delighted to tell us about it. I'm amazed at how many people don't know that NASA has a presence in Virginia. Not so much people here in Virginia, but like my family in Maryland and so forth, and Virginia on the other shore. So many people don't know that NASA has a presence here. So I want to introduce Amy and thank her very much for responding to my email and coming online and sharing what's going on with NASA. So I'll turn it over to you, Amy. Tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for having me. I was actually familiar with Happy Dollars because I've done some presentations for Rotary before. And I've been familiar with Rotary. I mentioned to Chuck when he contacted me that I actually was a recipient of a Rotary scholarship, possibly two. We're actually trying to figure this out, my dad and I. So just assume it was two. So one was to buy me hiking boots, and I spent an entire summer in the Cumberland Gap area where Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia all come together through this program called the Student Conservation Association. So we're doing trail work for an entire summer. It's really cool, definitely life-changing. And I still have those boots today, so very helpful. And then I do think I got a scholarship from Rotary again when I graduated high school and went to college. So it was like my first semester of books. So thank you to Rotary. So I hope you guys sell lots of those tickets for the golf cart so you can do that for more people. But I am currently the director at the NASA Wallops Flight Facility Visitor Center. But I am not from the Eastern Shore. I'm actually from upstate New York, central New York, like Utica area, southern Adirondacks. So I did not know that NASA had a presence here on the Eastern Shore. I didn't really know that the Eastern Shore was a place, other than I had read Misty of Chincoteague. So that was pretty much my knowledge of the Eastern Shore. But going to the Wallops area is one of my first experiences. And I think what we do at Wallops, even though people don't really know about it, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to share my screen. I do have a little presentation. And it's relatively short because I find that most people just want to ask me a bunch of questions. So we'll do that kind of either throughout or at the end. Okay. Awesome. So hopefully everybody can see that. It says explore moon to Mars, but we're not really doing that. That text would not change. But those are programs that I usually do with students. Okay, so a little bit about Wallops. I usually have to tell people where we are because they have no idea. But most people are very familiar with Kennedy, which is in Florida, and also very familiar with Houston because of that very famous quote, Houston, we've had a problem. But NASA has centers all over the place, and every single one does a little bit of something different. So everybody kind of has a piece in our big missions. So Wallops is over there on the Eastern Shore, and we do things that are suborbital. So things that don't go all the way into orbit. So they go up and they come back down. And for us, that is scientific balloons, aircraft, and sounding rockets. And then we do have a couple larger rockets that I'll touch on too. Oh, and also we're really old. We're established in 1945, so we just passed our 75th year anniversary. It actually predates NASA. So before it was under NASA, it was NACA. And it's the only launch range that is owned by Wallops. So the island where all the launch pads are, that's owned by Wallops. In every other spot where NASA launches, it's owned by another facility or another agency. So my favorite spot that we have at Wallops when we do tours is where they make our sounding rockets. So it's this big machine shop, workshop, and they make the rocket skins. So they mill them down from big hunks of aluminum. I am just learning some of the programming that they do for all this, and it is way more difficult than I ever imagined. So I always thought this was cool, but now that I'm sort of experiencing that programming part, I understand how cool and how difficult it is. So here are some of our really cool machines that we have. So they're building the actual rocket skins, and they do this with the different researchers and scientists who are going to put items in the payload. So they know what sort of rocket shape and size and what they're going to need. So they have to put in different doors for things to pop out when it gets up to a certain height, and all kinds of crazy things that they do in the machine shop. But really, really cool piece that we do at Wallops that I think is extremely unique. So my favorite one, and this is very relevant to what just happened, So this purple rocket, they are normally not this color. This was pretty unique. This was a rocket that was designed to test the parachute that just landed a rover on Mars. So really cool. It was called the Aspire mission. So basically they wanted to test the parachute. They tested it in wind tunnels and a lot of other places on Earth, but they wanted to send it up into our upper atmosphere. On Mars, the atmosphere is extremely thin. So they wanted to see how it would perform in a thin atmosphere. So they had to go up, deploy the parachute way high up in the atmosphere and see how it performed. And they did it 3 times. I think it was in 2017 and 2018 were the years that they did this. And this rocket is completely unique. The reason that it's those bright colors is because they wanted to make sure that they were able to recover it from the ocean. So they're usually able to recover them, but they wanted to make sure that they were able to get this one to get the parachute back to check it out for any holes or anything like that. So there's a little graphic of the parachute deploying, and there's also one of the Aspire rockets launching from the island. So you can sort of see in this picture on the left-hand side of it, there's a small building. It looks like a little shed. Those go over the launch pads. So if you look at a picture of Wallops Island with the launch pads, you'll see it looks like a bunch of little white sheds. Those are all covering the rockets. They're on big rail tracks, and they just push them back. So, and then the rocket can be stood up and launched. So we were really, really excited when the rover landed on Mars for the parachute to deploy. We heard everyone in JPL clapping, and we were all really excited too, because we helped with that one. So, but we don't just do rockets. People usually think NASA and they think rockets, but they probably don't think balloons.
All right, there is a temporary interruption.
I'm coming back.
I knew you'd be back, Amy. Never worried.
I was worried.
We don't worry. Rotarians do not worry.
Perfect. Where were we? Balloons.
Balloons, yeah.
Now I'm in aircraft. Here we go. Balloons. So we have these scientific balloons, and they use them because they're often way cheaper than a rocket, but they can get equipment up in the atmosphere so they can see out further in the atmosphere. So usually they're bringing up things like telescopes or radar, things like that, so they can explore out into the solar system on a much more cost-efficient platform. So these balloons, if you're thinking hot air balloon, weather balloon, think much, much, much bigger. So these balloons are so big they could fit an entire football stadium inside them. So that's not just the football field, that's the bleachers and everything. They are massive. So they do not launch them at Wallops because we do not have enough space. So they launch them all over the world. They launch them in Antarctica. They launch them in New Mexico and all kinds of other places. So they go up, they can stay up in the upper atmosphere for about 100 days, depending on the type of balloon. Sometimes it's much shorter, sometimes, well, it's usually not much longer than that. But they're just trying to bring something up on their payload, kind of in that little basket. If you're imagining if it was similar to a hot air balloon, there would be a little basket and there would be telescopes and things like that in there. So these missions are really popular with college and graduate students because, again, it's much more cost effective for them to do that. So, and the plastic is really, really thin. It feels kind of like a Ziploc sandwich bag. It's kind of that sort of feel. So it's really thin. They are not able to reuse the plastic. When it comes back down, they just do their best to gather it and then do away with it. So I do love our sounding rockets. I think the balloons are really cool, but I really, really love our aircraft missions. So this one, if you might be looking at it and saying, okay, well, it has a NASA meatball on the side. That's what the logo is called. But it has some pretty different colors on it. So it's an old Coast Guard plane that the Coast Guard had no use for anymore. And Wallops and NASA said, we'll take it. So that's how we get most of our stuff, is it's something that another agency doesn't want and we take. So this plane was recently used for a mission where they were flying into snowstorms and tracking to see where snow was actually falling. because you get a snow forecast, you either get, it's going to be snowmageddon, lots and lots of snow, and you get nothing, or vice versa. They say, don't worry about it. And then suddenly you have many inches of snow. So they were studying snow bands to see if they could identify, can we be a little bit better at forecasting so people can prepare? So they were just flying this plane directly into snowstorms, which was really cool. So, but they use the planes all over the world. They're tracking ice sheets. They've been doing that for many, many years, and that helps support some data from satellites. And they also are tracking wildfire damage and tree forest canopies. So lots of things that they're doing just from the aircraft. And our job at Wallops is to figure out what the scientists want to do, what instruments they need on the plane, and then outfit the plane so we can do that. And it's still safe to fly. So sometimes this means drilling holes in the plane, strapping things to different parts of the plane. It can look really different. And I often have people who are very surprised when they come in and they see the planes are all gutted. They're not very fun to ride in. And they're not very pretty. There's lots of, exposed things. And I think that's often surprising to people who watch movies and see everything very glistening white and very sciencey, but science can be pretty messy. So I like to mention this one, especially to students, but I think it's worth sharing with adults as well, because I think it's really cool. So we do the aircraft missions that help us measure all kinds of different things, especially on ice sheets, and that usually is supported by satellite imagery. So they use radar from satellites that are going to measure the ice sheets, but they also take a ton of pictures, and we can study lots of different things just from satellites. So I learned about this one. They're studying penguin populations based on pictures of their poop from space. So that's something I would not think of if I was thinking of NASA, as they're studying penguin poop from space, but it's something they're able to do. So they could see these pictures of the stains from the guano, which is what penguin poop is called. And they're able to estimate the population of the penguins based on how big that stain was or how small, and compared it to pictures from over the years. So pretty cool. I also learned that some penguin poop is pink. I did not know that either. So lots of different things that they're doing for science. But we're very famous for our Antares launches. So that's the large rocket we have that goes up to the International Space Station. We have our very famous road sign. There's International Space Station on-ramp that is on Wallops Island. Right next to it, not in this picture, is another sign that says moon ahead. The story is they wanted to make sure people didn't confuse which rocket was going where. I don't know that you would actually do that. I think they just wanted some cool signs. So that goes up to the International Space Station, carries all kinds of cargo, whatever they need up there. We recently brought up a new space toilet. I know that they got an oven and they baked cookies last November. And then just the one in February, one of the big things I heard is they were sending up worms, and they were studying how the body structure of the worm changed in space. And then in this picture of the island, you'll see the big water tower. This is actually an outdated picture, because now next to that water tower is another launch pad. So hopefully that will be my next slide. I can't remember where it is. Aha, it is. So we have a new company that I'm very, very excited about. They're called Rocket Lab. They're from New Zealand. And they're pretty exciting. So they haven't launched from Wallops yet, but this is their first launch pad in the United States. So you can see it's right next to that water tower. So the Antares launch pad is just past this black rocket. So they put it up on the pad sometime last year, just to make sure all those things worked. So they haven't launched from Wallops yet, but they're going to be launching pretty frequently. And just last week, their founder put out a video where he's talking about their new rocket. It's going to be called Neutron. It's going to be bigger than this one in the picture, which is called Electron. And he casually mentioned that it would be big enough to carry people, and then the video ended. So really excited about that, because we know that their intent is to launch that larger rocket from Wallops. I don't know that they would actually put people on it, but they're saying the rocket is big enough that they possibly could do it. But they're a really cool company. We're really excited to see what they do. The rockets are black because they are carbon fiber coated, so they're lighter and stronger. And engines are 3D printed, which is really unique, and they can do it extremely fast. So they'll put them together at their facility at Wallops, bring them over to the launch pad, and they can launch them from there. So, but my role, I don't usually get to do all that stuff that I just talked about. My role is I'm at the visitor center, which is currently closed to the public, but we do all the public events. So we host the launch viewing, we hosted the eclipse viewing when that happened in 2018, and we'll do another one in 2024 when the next total solar eclipse goes across the country. And we do lots of field trips. We've been doing them virtually since September, and we've done them for about 10,000 students all across the country. So very few local, actually. But then we also work really closely with our Office of STEM Engagement. So that's normally, or was formerly called the Office of Education. And they do tons and tons of internships for high school and college students. Those internships are paid. And those internships can be in a variety of different departments. So we've had interns in the Office of Communication who did videos for us. We've had interns who are working with the engineers, putting stuff together in fabrication and testing, and all kinds of other places. We've been intern photographers, intern administrators, all kinds of things. So lots of opportunities for students here on the shore. That's a really big push that they're hoping to move forward, is supporting more local students with the internships. So that's the end of my presentation, but I am very happy to take questions.
Amy, I had a few quick questions. How do rockets actually get delivered to Wallops Island? A lot of the roads are pretty narrow and windy, so how do they bring them in?
They do bring them in. They don't go over the Bay Bridge Tunnel. They usually come up in Delaware, and they'll drive them down on humongous trucks, usually in pieces, because the Antares one is our biggest one right now. So it'll come in kind of chunks on these big crates, and then they put it together in what's called the Horizontal Integration Facility, or the HIF, which is over on the island. So they have to put all the pieces together, and they do it usually at an odd time of night. You don't want to attract attention.
I see. When do you expect the visitor center to reopen again?
We're not sure. I am hoping for the summer. You know, and as with anything with COVID stuff, we're not really sure what that's going to look like. I think that we'll probably be able to open to the public in some capacity. I don't know that we'll be able to resume our tours of the facility anytime soon, but we only do those for special groups. Like the Rotary group could call and schedule one, and they're free. Just have to provide your own transportation. But yeah, I hope we'll be open for the summer.
Okay, and then one last question. When you do have a launch and the visitor center is open, understand they set up some bleachers and people can park there and watch the launch. How many people do they allow there when it's all open?
It's a good question. We've had as many as 4,500 people there.
Wow.
Yeah, but we do not have the parking to support that. And we've had, you know, state officials say, please don't park on that road.
Right.
Which you can tell us, but you have to tell the people. So if they're very strict with that, it's as few as about 1,000. So we're trying to figure out how we can balance that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Amy, pre-COVID, was it possible to arrange tours in the manufacturing facility? I know that's not normally part of what's open to the public, but can that be done, or could that be done, and maybe again in the future?
Yeah, that was definitely something that could be done, is tours of that part on base, as well as the HIF over on the island. So it has been done in the past. I think it can probably be done again. I don't know what it'll look like or what our time frame will be. But yeah, there's still information on tours on our website. You have to have transportation, and there's a maximum number of people that will fit in the different spaces. But yeah, we've had before.
Amy, I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Well, what are the practical application of all the scientific research going on at NASA in terms of the everyday life of the people?
Good question. So there's all these things that they call NASA spinoffs, and they're all things that have spun off of NASA research. Probably one of my favorites is memory foam. So if you have a memory foam mattress, or it's, I don't know, I've seen it in shoes or in seat cushions. Memory foam was originally developed by and for NASA. So there are tons of things like that have all been developed for NASA missions that then kind of filter down to people using every day. I mean, cell phones and internet and being able to do conference calls like this via Zoom were all originally things that were developed by NASA. So, and then at Wallops there are different things where some of the engineering practices they're using, not so much every day, I think you'd probably be in engineering for that, but the snow forecasting stuff would be very helpful. It's not so much for us. We don't seem to get very much snow here, but definitely for other people who live in areas that are very snowy.
We also got Tang from NASA.
Really?
Yes.
I think I've heard that.
Amy, I'd like to ask you a question.
Please do.
Simple question. Two questions, actually. With the balloons, when you launch the balloons, how do you get them back down? And with that experiment with the worms, did the body structure change on the worms?
So the worms were just sent up in February, so I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I'm assuming yes, because there would be muscle deterioration like any other being that goes into space. With the balloons, how they get them down is they have this like self-destruct system in them where they'll have a small explosion and it rips this metal cord all the way through. It's pretty dramatic to see the video of, because it goes really quick. So the whole balloon just opens up and then comes down. And then they have parachutes that'll slow down the payload because they don't want that careening full force into the ground or a glacier or anything like that.
Where do usually this
the balloon
take place? What body of ocean?
I'm sorry.
Where do this descent take place? Which body of water? Is it around here or somewhere else?
For the rockets, it's out in the Atlantic Ocean. But for the balloons, they're often flown over land. So they'll come down. There's some places in Texas and New Mexico that they fly them. So they'll just come down over land. It's often private land, so then they have to track down the landowner and get permission to go collect their balloon and all the plastic and payload. And then in Antarctica, it comes down over land as well. They try not to have it come over the water because it would be very difficult to recover.
Does not come down around Wallops Island or around the shore.
No, they're too it'd be too big. It would definitely cause an issue.
Yeah. Now I have another question about the internship. Is there any program that encourages the high school students to apply to this internship?
Yes. Our education team, they do a bunch of different outreach. So how I've seen it is they've done presentations to groups that are of internship age, so usually upper level high school or into college if they're coming to us for a tour or a field trip or an event. They'll either get something to hand out to them individually, or they'll contact that teacher, or they'll even do like an intern presentation. So I think a lot of it seems to be individual teachers who kind of ask about it, but there's a ton of information on the website. I will say that the internship webpage was a little bit glitchy this year, so I think it was difficult for students to navigate, but they're all well aware of that issue and are working to fix it.
Have you had any applications from the Northampton County high schools?
I haven't. The applications for our position seem to be people who are applying to click a button and you can apply to every single internship across all of NASA. So I've gotten some a lot of really cool students, but ones who really don't want an internship with me and what I do specifically. A lot of them want to be engineers, but I have not seen very many Northampton applicants, and I don't think we've had any Northampton schools participate in our virtual field trips. So we've had very, very few local schools, which is surprising.
Question, Jack? Okay. Hey, David, you had a question.
Yes, thank you. You know, I've been here on the shore for about 30 years, and I think in '96 I saw a rocket crash. And so I've seen more than one rocket crash in my tenure here on the shore. But I was looking at your photo of the balloon, and it all makes me wonder what efforts NASA's doing to be green, to reduce its emissions, to, you know, certainly reduce its effect on our environment. And I wondered, what kind of gas do you fill the balloon with? And where does it all go when you finish with it?
Good question. So it's filled with helium, and it's not filled all the way up because as it goes up into the atmosphere, there's less pressure. So the molecules naturally just spread out. So they don't fill that whole thing to the very brim as it goes up. They fill it part of the way so it lifts and it will get bigger. As far as environmental, like green practices, there's definitely a lot of talk on kind of like, you know, at my level, a certain number of things have to be coming from recycled process things. We have lots of hybrid cars, but for some of the things, they're just like, there's no way to reuse that balloon plastic. Like it has micro holes. It's been completely torn as it comes down. So I don't really see a way that they'd be able to do that. They are testing a variety of different materials to see if they can make the balloon body out of something else that might break down quicker when it comes down, but still be able to be strong enough when it's up there. So I think there's a lot of different things that they're doing kind of on a smaller level, but some of the things like sending something to Mars, there's only so much you can do to make it green. They are extremely careful about not introducing anything to other planets or other objects in space. So there's somebody's entire job where they're making sure that nothing gets attached to it, because you know, we have invasive species here that cause havoc in our ecosystems, and we don't want to do that to another planet.
Jackie, you had a comment?
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have all the details, but the Eastern Shore Community College does have an internship program with Wallops, and Wallops has also been kind enough to provide some funding in scholarships in support of that program. And I think it's a very active program. So there is some connection to Wallace.
Yeah, that's a really strong partnership. I just saw I participated in. They had a kind of a career evening where they talked about come work at Wallops and don't be a rocket scientist. It was talking about the variety of other careers that people have who work here, and highlighting some of those, because people often just think, okay, rocket scientist, engineer, there's nothing else there for me. So they were highlighting people who worked in admin. They were highlighting just people worked in communications and all kinds of different things, which was really unique. So they do have a really strong partnership there. And they could have applied for internships. I only see who applied for my internship.
Time for one more question for Amy.
Hey, I have one. It's Al. And how much private companies are launching there compared to our own government? It sounds like a lot of private companies are going nuts here, launching into space from Wallops.
Yeah, so we'll have the new one, Rocket Lab. So that will be a new one that has not launched there yet. And then we have Northrop Grumman, which does the Antares one, but it's for a Wallops mission. So other than that, it's all sounding rockets, which are built and launched by NASA, but they are often carrying payloads for either other agencies, or they do it for a lot of colleges and other people who are doing research. So I think that we probably have, out of all the NASA launch ranges, probably the fewest that are private companies compared to Kennedy or any of the other places that launch.
Is that number increasing or decreasing? Is it pretty much the same for private companies?
It will increase at Wallops pretty significantly when Rocket Lab starts going, because they want to launch very frequently.
Yeah. Thanks.
Amy, thanks for joining us this afternoon. You are certainly a great ambassador for NASA Wallops. I was just listening to the questions and I said, can't we stomp her? It's amazing. You must read and walk around there and ask questions nonstop. You represented your organization extraordinarily well today, and we appreciate your time. So,
well, thank you so much.
So with that, Diane, with regard to what we think, say, and do, 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And Stanley?
Will we all have some fun?
I'll see you in 2 weeks, folks. Next week, Bill Murphy and Diane and Jackie will be driving the train.
Thank you all. Thank you, Amy, very much.
Bye.